Hello guys, how are you? And welcome to my channel. I met with Iman. In this, we discussed the past paper. In the last video, I discussed the introduction to IMAT and all the process you have to undergo for medical schools in Italy. So this is the first lecture actually for IMAT. So without wasting any time, let's start this video. Okay, so so in this video, I will cover the biology section of year 2021 and 2022. Okay, the reason why I am starting with a past paper is that past paper or practicing past paper is the most important key for IMAT. I have told this thing in my past video, introduction to IMAT as well. You can go and see that video. I have given some important tips in that as well. So I will cover the biology section in this video. Okay. I will mostly cover biology sections of all the past paper and some biology topics because it is the most important topic of IMAT, right? It has the most number of questions, and as you are going to study in medical school, so you must be good at biology, right? So I will give more time to the questions which has concepts and less time to the theory ones. Okay. So let's start the video. Okay, so let's start with the question number one of biology, which is which of the following reaction or biological process involves a redox reaction? It's simply a theoretical question. Okay, so we all know that what's redox reaction, right? The reaction which include reduction and oxidation. Okay, so it's a theoretical question if you know the redox reaction and if you have studied all these reactions. These all are from different topics. So you will easily recognize the answer. But the easy way to do the questions of IMAT is to eliminate the wrong option. Okay, if you know the right option, well and good. But if not, it's better to start from first option and then start eliminating all the answers which are obviously wrong. So most probably you will reach the right answer like that, even if you don't know the answer. Right? So let's start from option A. It's glucose plus glucose maltose and water. Okay, so we can see that if you have studied this reaction, so it's clearly a dehydration, condensation reaction. Okay, water is released and both the reactions, both glucose just attached to formaldehyde. Okay, so it's not a redox reaction. It's nothing to do with reduction oxidation. Second is polymerization of amino acid. It's again condensation reaction. Okay. Number three is depolarization of neurons. If you have studied uh, this, you will know that depolarization of neuron is simply the exchange of ions, sodium ion and potassium ions, right? So next is cytosine and guanine pairing. It's again just a bond formation and nothing to do with redox reaction or oxidation and reaction or change of exchange of charges or something like that. So the only option we are left with is E. So it's most probably the right answer. Otherwise, we can just see that here NAD is positively charged and hydrogen is zero charge. Okay, and in the product, hydrogen is plus one charge, and it's like NADH is has zero charge. Here NAD, so it's redox reaction. So let's move to question number two. Is in which of the following places are proton pumps found? Okay, it's a theoretical question as well, and we all know that in stroma proton pumps are not found. If you have studied this topic, again in the gap between thylakoid membrane, it's again stroma. No proton pumps formed. Proton pumps are found in mitochondria and granule membrane only. Okay. And some on cellular membrane, plasma membrane as well. But for photosynthetic reaction or this chapter, respiration chapter, you will study these two structures where proton bombs are found. So option number E, which is 3 only. This is the correct answer. Okay. So let's move to the next question. So, hmm. So next question. Which one of the following is correct for cholesterol in him? Hmm. So let's start reading the options. First is it maintains the fluidity of cell membrane. Yes, it's correct. But it's the correct option, we know that. But let's read all the options. So we can confirm our answer in this way. Okay, always read all the options because sometimes they make you confused with one or two words. And if you read all the options carefully, it will be more easy to go to the right answer, right? So next is it is a good source of energy because of number of hydrogen atoms. Hmm. Some types of fats are actually used as a source of energy, but not cholesterol. Okay. So this option is wrong, but it can confuse some students because some fats are used as a source of energy. So you have to remember which type of fats. Okay. Next, it transports fatty acid around the body. No, there is nothing to do with cholesterol. Next, it is used to make all hormones. It is used to make some hormones which are called steroids in humans, which include aldosterone and testosterone and progesterone and these all hormones. It is used in hormone, but this word all make this option wrong. Okay, so you have to notice these things as well because most of the time they examiner make you confused from these one or two words, and student just don't notice this because of time limit and all. But you have to get used to it again. Option A, it forms hydrogen bond with water. This thing is wrong because cholesterol is a fat and the fats are hydrophobic, so it can't make bond with water. Then which stabilizes the cell membrane, it's obviously wrong. So this option is wrong. So in this way, even if you don't know this thing that it maintains the fluidity of cell membrane, by eliminating all the wrong options can lead you to the right option, right? So let's move to the next question. Hope you'll understand. Okay. So for the next question is polydactyly is a condition caused by a gene mutation. Animals affected by polydactyly have extra digit of one or more limbs. It's a definition of polydactyly. Okay, so 5 inherited patterns of polydactyly in a species are shown in the diagram. Okay, let's read the question. Which inherited pattern can only occur when polydactyly is caused by autosomal dominant allele and not when it's caused by autosomal recessive? Hmm. The main things we can mark the main things in the option question, so we can it can be this and this. Why? Because they are the main thing they are asking in the question is the situation which can be caused only by negative dominant and not by recessive. Okay, so we can mark this. Before I tell you the option and we find the right answer, I want to tell you some important tricks for solving these type of questions, especially pedigree questions, because most of the students waste their time in most of the time in pedigree questions by making all the by seeing all the pedigrees and going to the conclusion. Most of the students find the right answer, but it takes too much time, right? So I'll tell you two important tricks which will be like uh, useful in most of these type of questions, especially when the condition is autosomal. In this question, they have given in the question that it's autosomal condition. Sometimes, in some cases, if you have found out in the beginning that it's the autosomal condition, that this trick is going to work for 99% of the questions. Okay, most of the IMAT questions are like that. So let's see. Okay, let's draw it here. If we consider two parents. Hmm. With three offsprings. Okay, it's a daughter, it's a son, it's another daughter. It doesn't matter if for the number of daughters and sons because the condition is autosomal. And okay, so let's consider a condition in which both of the parents are affected by the situation by the allele. Both of the parents shows the inheritance pattern or and in their offspring, even if we can find any one offspring which doesn't inherit the allele, which is not affected. For example, both of them, these one are affected, and this is normal. Okay, one is normal. Two can be normal as well. Three of them can be normal as well. But we have to find out only one. If we can find only one, it can affect us. To the conclusion, okay. Even if one is different from the affected parents, I mean both of the parents affected, and even one of their a son or daughter is normal, then the condition will be 110% dominant. Okay, the condition is dominant. It can't be recessive in either cases if the situation is for autosomal. Okay, so you can just memorize this trait, but if I explain you by theory that how it can be possible, it can be possible with recessive as well. So let's make okay. If we consider affected allele to be dominant n, here I am taking n dominant n for normal for the affected one and small n for recessive normal one. Okay, so I'm saying that this will be dominant. So these both parents must have one dominant allele, and let's take them heterozygous as one of the offsprings are showing the condition different from the parent. Okay, so in this situation, one or two of the offsprings can be different from the parents because they both have one and one recessive allele, and it can inherit one both recessive allele each from one parent. Okay, and other offsprings can either be homozygous dominant or heterozygous. In both the situation, other will be other. Okay, so what if we consider something opposite to that? So it will like confirm our situation. Let's see if we consider the situation to be recessive. So will this trick help us? Okay, let's remove this first and then let's consider this time in the same pedigree the condition to be recessive. Just for the confirmation that we are not going wrong, right? If we consider this to be recessive, a small n allele to be the gene which the pattern to be recessive actually. So I'll consider small n to be the affected allele and capital dominant N to be the dominant normal allele. In this situation, as both of the parents are affected, so they must have both of the recessive alleles, right? They, okay. So if you see, in this case, this situation can't be possible because any of the offspring can't inherit the capital dominant allele because none of the parents have even one of them, right? So all of the parents will have the same characteristic or the same thing as the parent, and most all of the offspring would be affected. So it will be 110% recessive. It can't be dominant, right? So in this situation, we can just find out. You can just write this thing in somewhere that if both of the parents are affected in a autosomal condition. I'm selecting on autosomal for a reason because these tricks will help you for autosomal conditions most of the time. it is valid for some of the situations in sex link, but not for most of the time because the sex link also depend on gender. Write somewhere that if anywhere in the pedigree both of the parents are affected and even one of their offspring is not affected or normal, the situation will be 110% dominant. Okay, so write it somewhere and it will help you to save some time. This was point number one. Okay, let's move to an. Let me tell you another trick for this is also for autosomal. Okay, because our question is about autosomal, so for now we'll start for that. I'll tell you some tricks for sex links as well when we get some question like that. Okay. Okay. Let's consider two parents and again three offsprings. Oh God, it's going horrible. My drawing is horrible and making from the mouse is more difficult, so I hope you can understand, right? Okay, so let's see. If we consider two parents in a pedigree and two normal parents actually, okay, which doesn't inherit a pattern, and if we can find even one, at least one, again, it's at least one, it can be two offspring, it can be one offspring, but for our conclusion, we need only one offspring to be different from the parent. If both of the parents are normal, in this case it's opposite, and one of the offspring is affected, then this condition is 110% recessive. If we have find out or if we know from the question that the condition is autosomal, again it's for autosomal, then the condition is 110% recessive. Okay, you can just memorize this trick, but for now I'll explain you how. Okay, so it can be like if we consider, in this case I'll consider small h to be the recessive affected allele and capital H to be the dominant normal. Both of the parents are normal and we are considering capital H to be normal. So both of the parents must contain at least one of the normal allele, right? Which is dominant. And both of them will have one of the recessive allele as one of their offspring is showing a character different from them. So they both must be heterozygous. This is also a trick to find if offspring is different from both of their parents, then both of the parents will be 110% heterozygous. They can't be homozygous, right? Okay, so in this case, this situation is possible because of course this one offspring inherit two, it can inherit two recessive alleles, one from each parent, and other can inherit one dominant, one recessive, or homozygous dominant. In all the cases, they will be normal. Two offspring can also inherit this. All offspring can also inherit both of the recessive alleles, but for now, we need only one offspring to be like that to get to a conclusion, right? Okay, so this is for recessive, which proves that the thing we are saying is right. The situation can be recessive, but can it be dominant? We should prove that as well, that it can't be dominant. How? If I consider of this time capital H to be the dominant affected allele and small h to be recessive normal allele. Okay, in this situation, if the parents are normal, right? So they both should have normal recessive allele, small h, small h, small h, small h. Only this is the condition how they both can be normal, right? And in this situation, the offsprings can't inherit a dominant or the affected allele from anywhere because none of their parents have this allele, right? So this thing can be this can't be possible. All of the offsprings will have 2h, 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 2h because that's all their parents have. Okay, so in this situation, this would be wrong. So you can just write this thing somewhere as well. If anywhere in the pedigree you find two normal parents with at least one of the affected offspring, then the condition will be 110% recessive if the pedigree is for autosomal allele. Okay, so just memorize these two tricks. This will help you in many ways, in many questions to solve your answer quickly. Okay, so next, let's move to our options. Question now. So the question was, so which thing is possible or which pattern is only possible when it is autosomal dominant allele? This question tells you that it is autosomal, even if it won't tell you. There are some things to find out if it's a dominant or if it's autosomal or sex link. I will explain you in other questions where there is a different like that. But for now, they have given the it means both of our kids can make this autosomal dominant and not when it's caused by autosomal recessive allele. Okay, for this, most of the students go for answer number one. Why? Because most of the students have the concept that dominant allele occurs more frequently than recessive allele, and in all these pedigrees, uh, number one, option number one is the one which have most of the, I mean, all of people are affected in this situation, so it must be dominant. Yeah, it can be dominant, but if it can be dominant, but the second situation is not valid for this option because if we consider both of the parents to be recessive, to have all the recessive alleles, smallest for this condition is considered smallest. Okay, so it is possible that any of the option didn't get any normal dominant. Okay, so what about the second option? If we look thoroughly, the second option, we'll find this pattern in which our offspring is different from their parents and it's an autosomal condition. So that's all we are looking for to get to a conclusion. From this point, I want you to pause the video and look to this pattern and just tell me which point uh, is it autosomal dominant or it's it autosomal recessive from the points I just told you before starting this question. Yeah, I know most of the students will have found out that it is 110% autosomal dominant because this was this condition. Point number one. Okay, so this situation can't be recessive in any case, and it's 110% is dominant, and this is the condition which falls on our answer, right? Which falls on the condition which our question has given us. So this is 110% our question. Go to the next question without wasting any time. Which are the following types of nucleic acid are found in viruses? This is also a theoretical question. We know that single-stranded DNA is found in virus. Yes. Some viruses does contain double-stranded DNA and some contains RNA as well, retroviruses. So our option will be 1, 2, and 3, which is A. Let's go. Which one of the following diagram represents the structure that is formed by mitosis? For this question, you must know that these all structures by diagram. As I told you before, the diagrams, knowing the diagrams are also important for our math because most of the time the examiner gives you the diagram instead of giving you the name. So you must know these all structures or all the things you learn by diagrams and graphs as well. So if you see, this is the structure of WBC, the type of WBC. Okay? So WBC has its nucleus, nucleus and chromosomes and all those element structures. So it's formed by mitosis. So most probably this one is our answer. But just to make sure, we can check other options as well. Okay, so number in B, this if you recognize this is a virus, and we know that virus don't reproduce or don't do mitosis. They use the chromosomes and the cellular structures of the host to do reproduction. So mitosis doesn't occur in that. Okay, number see, this is mitochondria, bacteria, and chloroplasts. Bacteria, we all know that it doesn't do mitosis, instead it do amitosis because mitotic spindles are not found in this process. So the process in which bacteria undergo is called amitosis. And since mitochondria and chloroplasts are evolved from bacteria according to the subsequent evolution, so they both also do amitosis. So only option left is A, which is 110% of us. Let's stop this video here and discuss the remaining questions in part 2 as this video is too long now. So for the remaining questions you have to see the part 2 of this video. Bye bye guys and see you in the next video.